Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Web3 Masterminds hosted by Cryptopolitan and Forward Protocol. And today I'm really excited to be chatting to Suraj from NestFi. Welcome, Suraj.
Thank you. Thanks, Mish. Looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Suraj, whereabouts in the world are you?
Sorry, Mish. Can you come again?
Where are you speaking from this afternoon?
So I am from Mumbai in India. This is kind of late evening time here.
Okay, yeah, it's the same sort of time in South Africa, also late evening time.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about your journey into the whole blockchain Web3 space? When did you start and how did you arrive where you are today?
So, Mish, honestly, the journey was quite a long journey. It had started back in 2016 when I was doing my, I was in my corporate career. I started a very small blog called Blockchain Magazine. At that point of time, now it had become a very big brand globally. And happy to share some insights about it as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So basically, 2016 we started about writing on blockchain. 2017-18 we had started supporting some of the crypto projects out there, mainly helping them in terms of marketing, in terms of promotion, with some advisory as well. And then there were certain thoughts were coming out because you have probably have seen the phase of ICO to STOs to now IDOs, and now people are moving towards IGO, where they want to launch an initial gaming platform, right? So
yeah.
So that whole journey we have seen in last 5 years. The market is moving really, really fast. Probably cryptos are currently crashing, but this is the phase where everyone has seen this ups and down movement in last couple of years.
Suraj, can I just ask you, are you expecting Aditi to come and join us, one of your team members?
Yeah. Aditi is my team.
Hold on a sec. I'll just allow them in. I should be with us in a sec. You can carry on. Sorry, man.
Perfect. No problem. So that's how the journey started, Mish, honestly. And we have been exploring a lot of models because, like I said, we were in blockchain space, in cryptocurrency space. We have been seeing the innovations which were coming out there. And we want to bridge the gap between, Web3 and Web2, right? A lot of people were focusing on Web3. And many people were privy to it because they were understanding Web3 in more detail and they were actually taking it forward. But there is a very large chunk of segment which was in and which is now also in Web2 and are very, confused in terms of how they can start their Web3 journey, right? So NestFi is a project which is kind of bridging this gap. So we are a bridge between a Web2 and Web3. We are not completely decentralized at this point of time, while the whole roadmap is towards decentralization, but we want to bring a larger pie of TradeFi users to DeFi, and that's where the whole idea of NestFi came into picture. Now there were certain challenges which we have seen when we were talking to the users. And to our surprise, and honestly, we are focusing mainly on Gen Zs and millennials because we have seen that in last 2 years, mostly these kind of segment have been into crypto and blockchain space. Really, they have entered in a hard way. While the markets were bullish market, now people are kind of shifting towards their own traditional way of investment because of the crash. But I'm sure that a lot of people are still want to and willing to come in Web3 because that's where the world is moving. So when we spoke with a lot of users, the critical challenge which we got to know with some of this segment is, one, they don't understand how Web3 works. They generally go on social media, on YouTube, on, and probably hear some of the influencers out there and generally fall into the trap of, fake stories, right? So someone is saying about certain coins, mainly a promotional, content they are giving, and these users generally fall back for that coin and they lose the capital, right? So that was one problem. Second problem is they somehow don't understand the nitty-gritties behind the whole economics of the Web3 world, and we want to simplify that. And third thing is they don't have enough capital to put to start their journey, right? Because they are very, they don't want to take risk for their capital. They are very risk savvy people because, Gen Zs and millennials, they want to take risk. But in terms of capital, since they don't have enough capital, they want to, keep it very less from the risk aversive
Yes.
perspective. So these three challenges we have kind of figured out, and hence we started the platform, or we are in the final development stage. So we are starting this platform called NestFi, and NestFi is actually a social gaming platform focusing on educational games. And while there are educational games, and we all understand that education is like a boredom, but we are not keeping that boredom in the games. Games are really engaging for people, actually giving them more and more knowledge about cryptocurrencies, more and more knowledge about how Web3 works, and they will also understand the nitty-gritties of how NFT world works, right? So through Nest, we are actually giving them ability to start their crypto journey without any investment, without any risk, but there is enough potential for them to earn a lot of rewards and hence infinite returns. Now, a lot of crypto projects, which probably you have seen, that they generally give their native tokens. We are starting to give our users and the community actual cryptocurrencies so that they get the feel of it, right? So you are playing the games in the application. Those games will, help you understand the whole Web3 space. Plus, these games will also give you ability to earn actual real cryptocurrencies, right? So we are giving free Bitcoins. There are certain badges and levels planned for each users. As and when you are completing those levels, you will start getting sometimes NFTs, sometimes some random cryptocurrencies like Solana, Ethereum, right? So those kind of cryptocurrencies, you will start creating and building your portfolio without any investment. Now, as soon as you are completely into the Web3 space, you understand the nitty-gritties of it, you understand how the markets are moving, what factors impacting the market or a specific currency, you will then start building up your portfolio. And we are planning to tie up with some of the existing exchanges where we will facilitate the flow of new users to them, so that if someone wants to invest more capital, they would be able to invest through the exchanges. So we are completely non-custodial platform. We don't want to take any risk of anyone's holding, while the holding which people are getting in terms of the cryptocurrencies, they can still see that in the wallet, right? So that's the
Okay, that sounds excellent. I want to ask you a couple of questions because it's a lot to take in, and I'm really interested to understand it. But before I go, and Aditi, welcome. Good to have you here this afternoon.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Great. Nice to have you. So, Suraj, what I wanted to ask you, the thing that I find really fascinating about what you do is that the thing that I believe that inhibits and holds back the transition from Web 2 to Web 3 is education. So the more educated people are, the more chance we have of them actually adopting it because they understand what they're doing. And often just the lack of understanding creates fear and creates you to make, allows you to make poor decisions where if you lose your capital, then you're more fearful and you don't want to progress. So it really is like a compounding effect.
Yeah.
But what you guys are doing is you really are gamifying the education process.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because we know that, when people play games and they're having fun, they're learning at the same time. You can see it with kids and, the more fun they have, the more they learn.
Yeah.
And it's certainly like it with
in fact, one of the findings which we had when we were interviewing some of the people is the same thing, that investment for this segment is kind of boring because there is no element of fun, instant gratification and rewards, right? So that fun and that element we are adding into the cryptoverse and helping new users to come in Web3. And that's where we want to build our USP and the model.
Yeah, it makes 100% sense. The thing that I'm really interested in, when I look at your website, it says, don't just play to earn. It says research to earn. What does that actually mean?
Yes. So basically, like I said, there are some educational fun games out there. We are tying up with some of the crypto projects, innovative projects, And while I don't want to disclose the names of some of those projects, but people, when they are playing games related to some of those projects, they will have to actually go on Google, understand the nitty-gritties of that project. We are also facilitating some content for them, which they can consume, understand about the project, and start playing those games, right? So it is not just we are delivering the content to you in a very simple and profound way, but we are also asking you to go online, research about it, and then come, and then participate in the games, right? So that's where the whole research to earn mechanism comes into picture.
That actually makes sense. So could you maybe just take me through a user experience, a user journey? Someone comes to NestFi for the first time. Yeah. What does it look like to them?
So, so basically, this is a completely rewarding journey for everyone who is joining NestFi. If you are a new user, you have two ways. Someone from your friends or colleagues have invited you and then you join, or you are directly coming on the platform after hearing about NestFi on social media or some other portal out there, and then you are joining. In whichever way you are joining, you come on the platform, immediately you get Bitcoins free of cost, which you can start stacking. Now, when you are starting to stack those Bitcoins, there are games which you can participate using those Bitcoins, and you get more and more rewards as and when you go into the journey, as and when you probably, complete some of the games and make it, win it basically, right? So those kind of elements are there. Plus, imagine a scenario that you don't have now enough Bitcoins to participate in some of the games, and that's where the engagement games come into picture, where we have very funny, probably games which people have in their lifetime, once in a lifetime probably have played out. So those games will be very simple game. It's just that you are getting, say, Hangman, for example, right? So you just, participate in the random word prediction. If that game you won, immediately you will start getting additional Bitcoins, which you can make use of for playing other games and doing other activities. So that's how the journey will be for a user. Now, as soon as they are completing some of the games, they are also getting the badges. If you are playing the first game, you are getting, one badge. If you are probably winning a specific challenge or a competition, you are getting additional badge, right? At the same time, the social element of the gamification, where you can start creating your own challenges. Now imagine that I'm sitting in the college and I have, say, 50 of my friends in my batch, right? Or in my class. I can probably create my own challenge and I can ask and call them, invite them for that challenge, and I can be a player of that challenge, right? So you will get additional, badge for the same activity, because you are kind of facilitating your local community and local friend circle to come on the platform, and you are spreading the awareness, because this is how the research to earn model work. You are spreading the awareness, you are also bringing them to Web3, and that's where we are rewarding you. So that's the whole gimmick, how it will work.
Okay, that's interesting. And Aditi, I'm interested, what is your part in the project?
So I generally take care of the product, but considering it's just Suraj and me on the founding side, it's mostly us taking care of everything. But on the product development side, what kind of games that we can come up with, what would really appeal. So something that Suraj just mentioned right now, something like a Hangman, us being like millennials, that's something we played maybe when I was 5 or 6-year-old, but that's not something that Gen Zs are really into, right? And that's how we're trying to bring a spin to it and how we can bring it back, but also have an educational factor to it. So when we're playing Hangman, it's not just a random word coming in, right? You can get clues and hints and think of a crypto or a Web3 word that would really fit in. And those are the things that we're trying to come up with. And more than that, how can we really keep the community engaged? So while they can have their community, a Nest community, but like Suraj just mentioned right now, you can start your own games. You can initiate your own games. So what it allows you to do is have your internal community at the same time. So it's not like the entire ecosystem that you're dependent on, but you can have your own ecosystem within it. And those are the things that we're trying to drive, and hopefully will be successful as well while getting it.
Of course.
Yeah, it actually makes sense to have a word that would be related to the industry, like the crypto blockchain industry, because you could teach somebody like hodler or whatever it is, as the hangman word. It's quite an interesting way of actually learning terminology and earning something for it. So that's very novel. And I see it says I can join as a CEO. What does that mean?
So that's a very interesting way of bringing more participation from the community and rewarding them, whoever is bringing together that whole community to us, right? And CEO is basically the abbreviation of that is Chief Engagement Officer. When we are saying Chief Engagement Officer, they will get lot of rewards and perks and recognitions when they are joining us as a CEO. But like we said, CEO is responsible for something really, big. In the company, CEO is responsible for getting that leadership and promoting and driving the organization. Here, the CEOs will be responsible for getting the community and driving the community, right? So
is that like where it says creating a nest? So would the CEO be creating their own nest?
No, so basically CEO is like an ambassador program, right?
Okay.
Where people can act as an ambassador for Nest. And when they are acting as a CEO, there are certain activities they need to complete because we have defined a complete set of activities for them. Once they are doing those activities, they are getting a chance to be a part of Nest team because the CEOs will be inner circle of the founding team, right? The sub-founding team, we call them. And hence we want to grow them with us because they are helping us to grow. So that's how the platform, that's how the CEO program will work. In fact, we are also launching a CMO program as well, for people who are very creative in their own way. So that program will also be there on the website probably next week.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm always interested in the gaming space because it's such a massive industry globally. The Web2 gaming is incredible. And currently in, GameFi, it's actually a very small component of the whole space. And there's so much potential that can come in from the outside in. So, I honestly believe that like what you guys are doing, that GameFi has got the ability to transform the space because people, especially millennials, love playing games. And they engage very well like it. They're used to building online communities. So what are your thoughts on that and how we can, create more engagement, especially with NestFi in mind? What are you guys doing to actually attract new users in from the outside into the platform?
So Mitch, as you rightly mentioned, gaming industry is actually giving us significant growth since last couple of decades. And in fact, right now also the gaming industry is kind of, prevalent in Web2 space, but many people are now focusing on Web3 because of the, decentralization, because of the economics of that game, and because of the community which is driving it. But there are still players who are into Web2 in terms of gaming, and that community or that segment want to move to Web3. Now Web3 is actually giving you really good ability to to completely structured it in a way that the engagement will be there, and that engagement is being driven by a specific logic, I would say a code, or mainly people generally call it a gaming economics, right? Now, a lot of players are there in the games, a lot of players are launching it. But one thing that creates a difference is the engagement on the platform. Games can be there, users can be there, but if there is no engagement on the platform, whether it can be web, whether it can be app, the gaming protocol will definitely fail. We have seen a lot of projects out there since last 2 years, which has failed mainly because of the low engagement on the platform and the stickiness of the platform, right? So what we are in Nest as a founding team focusing more on creating that stickiness, so that when users are coming every day, they should have certain activities in the mind so that they get instant gratification. Plus they get a mission that, for today, I'll have to complete this and then I'll get that, right? So that kind of stigma or stickiness we are creating on the Nest.
Yeah, I know, community is such an important thing, and getting people to come in is the first thing. And obviously, as you've mentioned, getting them to stick is the second thing. And Aditi, how do you gauge the effectiveness of the marketing and, bringing people into the platform? How long does it generally take for someone to come in and become part of the community and actually start utilizing the tools and the games that you're offering?
So we're not really going by a very strict timeline that, okay, first quarter, we need to have 1 million users. Those are not really our objectives. We're very clear on what kind of TG that we want. And that's what we're really trying to reach out to the people who we think will benefit from this application. Like we said, this is an app for Gen Zs, and those will be the people we would want and want to participate in these games. And like Suraj just mentioned, gaming and the community, it's a big thing over there, considering Discord really took off, right? Especially when the gaming took off. And
yeah,
that's right. The kind of community we're trying to build, because why not? We can have an internal Nest community over here. There are chatting options as well. So if you're participating in a game, what you can do on Nest is also engage in a conversation with people in that game. So why would you not want to do that? Because that's somewhat what you can also do on Discord, right? And people do that very strictly and religiously. And those are the things that we're trying to drive. So the point of contention is not really like, okay, these many people we want by this period, but what kind of people we want, what kind of people we want are on our community. We want drivers who would really learn from these platforms, take it forward, pass it on. Something that Suraj was mentioning right at the beginning of the conversation, that we want people who bring their friends along, because this is where the world is moving. So why would you not want to move along?
Yeah, exactly right. So can you tell me, like, the actual most prevalent problem that NestFi solves? What do you think that is in context of Web3, and how that can encourage adoption and bring people into the space?
Aditi, you want to take it?
No, Suraj, go for it.
Okay. So, Mish, the critical problem which we are solving for is introducing Web3 to the world in a very, probably in a very engaging manner. While we know that there are certain challenges, we have seen tremendous growth in fintech space, mainly because the kind of user experience and the engagement these fintech platforms are offering to the people. And, in last probably, I would say last 3 years, 4 years, lot of fintechs have kind of targeted bottom of the pyramid, or probably next 1 billion users, right? Now, similar kind of trend we are seeing in Web3 as well. There are people who understand it. There are people who are, traders. There are people who are kind of expert. Some people are calling themselves expert, but there are people who understand the Web3 space. But there is large chunk of people who does not, who do not understand how Web3 and blockchain and cryptocurrency, the whole universe work. What we are trying to solve for is bringing them and introducing them a Web3 in their own way. We are giving the similar kind of experience which they see on some of the really cool fintech apps, or probably the applications which they are kind of using in Web 2. So we kind of creating similar experience for them, so that when they are entering in Web 3, they enter very conveniently without any noise, and they get, at the time of their journey, they get lot of rewards, so that they are happy about it and they can brag about it. That's the proposition we are giving to the users.
That is a very wise way of actually approaching it, because a lot of people, all of us, we're so native with what we use in Web 2. We don't have to learn it. And when you try and teach somebody something completely different, it's actually very difficult. And it's funny, at Forward Protocol, that's essentially what what we do is we build infrastructure projects, and our idea is to be like WordPress is. It's so easy to build a website. You go and you download an application, you choose your widgets from the widget library, and half an hour later, you've got a website without any coding. And if we can bring that sort of thinking into Web3, where someone can use templates and get the same idea without any coding or without any technical knowledge, it's going to create adoption. That's what I hear in what you guys are doing, which is really great. Yes. And I know that, we sort of seen over the last year how NFTs and now recently the metaverse has sort of exploded into people's, the forefront of their attention. How does that fit into what you guys are going to create, and how do you see that developing from here?
So, Mish, honestly, metaverse as a terminology has been in the market since a very long time. Probably in 1990s, 95, people were talking about virtual reality, AR and all that. But metaverse as a concept has really picked up when the whole blockchain and cryptography came in the market. And that's kind of a very good way of putting it, because the whole metaverse is a virtual world, and in blockchain also people want to keep their identity or probably own their own data. They don't want to give that data ownership to some of the centralized platform. And that's where the combination or a marriage of blockchain and AR, VR, bringing metaverse in picture has been really doing wonders, because that's the critical problem which every one of us were facing, right? Now, how NestFi is moving towards that is, like I said, there are a lot of good metaverse projects, or there are a lot of innovative projects in metaverse, and we are partnering with those projects, and we are introducing those projects and elements to our users who are new to Web3. And when they are understanding those nitty-gritties and nomenclatures, they would probably want to participate in those metaverse, right? And we are, as a defined activities and certain set of tasks on the platform, helping them to navigate through each and every criticalities on that innovative project, whichever that project be, so that the normal or a common user understand it, right? And then they can participate in it. Now, as soon as they are part of the whole metaverse, we also have certain plans as a roadmap to have our own very, small ecosystem for metaverse as well, and NFT as well, which will come out in the product roadmap. But like I said, we want to create that whole journey for people. First, they should understand, the basics of it. They should create the foundation around it, and then they can launch probably, or they can plan to go to the moon, right? So so that's what we are planning.
Okay, so when you look at NFTs, and I'm just thinking as an industry as a whole, they sort of started out as gifts and pictures for creators, etc., and they seem to be evolving into a lot of real world cases. We see lots of narrative around how they're going to evolve and how they can be used. How do you guys see that developing in the GameFi environment? I mean, what is the potential and what are the other uses for NFTs in that environment as we go forward?
Yeah, Mish, so honestly, NFT, like we say, the nomenclature is non-fungible tokens. In gamified world, a lot of people have already started selling virtual assets as an NFT. A lot of people have already started selling badges as an NFT, so that you are the holder of the badge, you are a unique person holding it, you can brag about that ownership, plus you can sell that ownership to someone else in future if that is driving value. Third thing is, there are a lot of DeFi projects out there who are also bringing NFT into the finance world, where you can create your own kind of asset, and you can start selling that asset to the other users and get more value out of it. So NFT as a concept or a nomenclature in gaming industry has tremendous potential. Lot of people are doing it. Lot of people are kind of have seen the success of this model and the protocol when they are integrating it in the platform. And NFTs as a concept, probably people may not now, in fact, in the target segment which we are planning to target to is Gen Z and millennial, they may not understand now how cryptocurrencies are working or how blockchains are working. but they are now understanding how NFTs ownership is getting managed, right? So that's the democratization of NFTs, and that's where NFT is acting as a, I would say, catalyst for the whole, for the whole blockchain and DeFi world.
Yeah, it's a great example because that sector of the market, I know when I think of my kids, for example, they understand it intuitively. You don't have to tell them. They know about collecting swords and skins and gems and all sorts of things. And you say, well, that's just an NFT in a Web3 gaming app. They say, okay, cool, that's great. So they connect it, they carry on. It's very easy for them to understand.
That's true.
But for people that are maybe from my generation, it's a little bit harder because we're not used to sort of interacting and playing in that way. So it's funny how you can almost see that natural progression through as the youngsters have grown, and how Web3 will become something that is very intuitive for them, and they will lead that. And I think game and GameFi is a big part of that.
That's true, Mish. And I think you rightly pointed out that, if something is very simple to understand and, and kind of give that ability to use it, it is very easy to drive the community towards that. But if something is complicated, people generally are hesitant to come on that platform or use that platform. And that's the critical way or critical problem we are solving at Nest, right? So we are just simplifying everything. You don't need to understand the technicalities of how it works. Give us some time, spend some time on our application, and you will be able to understand it fully over a period of time. That's the promise we are giving to our users.
Yeah, and I think if you think of the industry as a whole, I always go back to education because it's something that makes sense to me. The more people that understand something, and especially if you can teach them through something they're interested in, like through a game, they're interested in putting effort in, interested in putting time. In fact, they don't even know they're putting effort and time, and they're just learning as they go. The easier it is to actually create the adoption and people coming in. And then obviously on the other side of that, you've got the social fi. I mean, I can see how GameFi and social fi is connecting more and more as communities develop and communities build. So in the Web3 space, how important do you think a part GameFi can create in building that social fi and building that community so that people actually feel a part of something and they feel they can contribute and they can be valuable participants in what we're building, so that they come in and participate?
So, Mish, I think the answer lies in the conversation we had till now. We know that gamification is the way for giving people the clear understanding in a very fun and engaging manner for any protocol, technology platform out there, right? So, in gamification or probably in the games, the social element is actually already involved as a part of game, because you are either playing with the system or you are playing with the concurrent user or other users or your own colleagues and friends and family, right? So games are kind of connecting you with the other social circle, and when you are playing the games, you have certain objective to complete, and you know that certain other people are also kind of achieving or trying to achieve the same objective, and you may want to partner with them, right? So there are a lot of project-based games where you create a team and you hunt for that objective, right? There are many games which is kind of giving you ability to play one-on-one. So that social element is already part of the gaming ecosystem. It's just that through games, you are connected with that player, right? In the normal world or in the physical world, through conversation, we are connected with people, but games are also giving you ability to connect people virtually. So it's like a different relation you build when you are playing games with other, other players. And I think some of the examples are, you may not know that person, right? But you know that this is the name of that person on this specific game. So if that person call himself by that name, you will suddenly realize, oh, wow, I played with you, right? So that's kind of relation you build in the games, and that's the social aspect of it.
Yeah, it's actually incredible how, many young people, or many people in general, have better friends in the game world than they do in real life. They spend more time with those people, and they build relationships, and they work together, etc. So, Aditi, how do you? I'm interested in your perspective on how you're seeing this could grow and how these technologies can evolve over the next year.
So I understand there's a lot of skepticism around crypto right now, considering the markets have not been doing very well. But I only see it in an upward trend because it's also replicating how a stock market or a mutual fund is representing right now. So that kind of reinforces how I would see a crypto market to function as well, because it's very true replication of how a real economy would function. So I've been on the investment product side or traditional investment product side, and I can see the same trends happening in crypto. So it reinforces everything that I've learned in past, and I've worked with so many people and consumers itself on the retail side as to what would they look in stocks, what would they look while purchasing a particular fund. And even with crypto and Nest, what we're trying to do is it's essentially having your own set of fund, creating your own fund. When you're adding multiple cryptocurrency, diversifying your risk, there's no really risk on crypto on Nest, simply because there is no real money involved. It's all rewards or it's virtual money. And so from the app perspective, I really seeing it doing very well. But even as market and technology, I think there is no stopping that's going to happen. Even the market trends right now, it's only an upward trend that I see moving in a year or even say 5 years from now.
Yeah, it's definitely moving up. And you're right, we do follow the NASDAQ and S&P 500. It's actually uncanny when you see the NASDAQ turning down, you know that Bitcoin's going to follow it down, and then eventually it starts coming up, and we all sort of track it, and it all goes back to the rates and all sorts of things in the market that make this all work. But generally over time, they're always higher highs, and the market generally keeps on growing, which is really amazing. Obviously, there are some things that limit the real catalyst, and you've highlighted the one, which is, you know, the way it follows financial markets. But what other bottlenecks are there? What other things do you see that are actually slowing down the adoption in Web3? And what do you think some of the solutions are to actually removing the bottlenecks so we can make faster progress?
Suraj, do you want to take that?
Yeah. So, Mish, honestly, there are a lot of bottlenecks, and that's where probably a lot of governments are pushing it further. There are a lot of gray areas out there. Since this is decentralized and autonomous world, people are skeptical about it because of the use case blockchain is driving for a illegal or, you know, for some of the other activities, right? So, which government does not support. Now, lot of other nations, they are also bringing certain regulatory framework around it. Cryptocurrencies right now, or probably blockchain industry right now as a whole, there are a lot of gray areas out there. Those who understand the potential of it kind of trying to create a hybrid network. In fact, you know, promoting some of the blockchain related ecosystem or organizations in a better way, and not giving further leeway to specific cryptocurrencies which are out there only for, you know, for some fake tokens. So these skepticism will be there for some time, till the time market matures. A lot of governments are planning, in fact central banks are planning to launch their own digital currency, which is central bank digital currency. You might have heard about CBDC. So those kind of you know, new models which are popping up, those projects which are legitimate, which has real potential to change the whole you know, to change the existing bottlenecks in some of the industries, will do really wonders. Like we have already seen the growth in cryptocurrencies, like, or probably blockchain or protocols like Matic or Polygon. We have already seen growth in you know, Solana ecosystem. We are seeing a lot of growth in Tezos. So those kind of infrastructures are creating a platform for people to experiment and create the dApps which is actually solving the real industry problem in the real world. And those kind of projects really will do wonders. Now, those which are, like a bad, or probably I would say a fake coins, a lot of people are launching their own coin because it hardly takes half an hour for you to launch your own coin, market it, and then, do fraudulent activities around it. But many people who are kind of privy to it, they are understanding the nitty-gritties of it, and they will probably fall back and understand the core utility of a project, and then get associated with it. So that's the trend we have seen in the blockchain space also since last 2-3 years. Many community members are helping each others to make everyone realize that this project is doing really good, this project probably does not hold any value, and also those kind of activities are being managed. So to answer your question, in one way, there are bottlenecks, and those bottlenecks are getting resolved. Probably when we are speaking about crypto blockchain back in 2016-17, huge bottlenecks were there, lot of differences and gray areas were there. Now, after when we have entered in 2020, we have seen lot of projects who are solving for some of the bottlenecks. Those which are already out there right now, there are projects which are experimenting to solve it. And I would see probably in next 5 to 10 years, we will have a very mature market in blockchain.
Yeah, it's amazing how, I think, as you mentioned, in 2016, you had, you had like the degens that thought, run away from the banking system. Yeah. Banks are bad. This is bad. And you had these two opposing parties. But, the whole value-driven economy sits with the banking system, the whole financial system. And until you actually have regulation that allows them to come in and create frameworks that ultimately create safety for investors, because when people get burnt, like we've seen in the market the last week, it's been terrible. And it's very hard. When you put a framework in place, it allows big companies, big financial institutions to come in, as we've seen this year, and participate, which is the really exciting thing for me, because when that money flows in, it allows, more ecosystems like yours to flourish. It brings more people in. There's more trust. Which is what we need a lot of in the blockchain industry now, because, as you said, I think it's a lack of trust in the last couple of months, where people are shaken. They don't really know which way to turn, and it's our job to actually educate them and help them. So if there were new people that are listening to this now, and they're trying to evaluate, how do they come into the space? What do they look for? What advice would you give them in coming in and being able to learn in a way that they're not going to get their fingers burnt, that they can progress, that this is not a race for a year, but this is something that's going to be around for the rest of our lives? Aditi, how would you explain that to them so that they can participate in a safe way and learn and actually get the benefit and contribute over the next 5 to 10 years?
Honestly, Mitch, you described quite well yourself, where you said it's not a race. It does feel like at times, because people as young as 16-year-old and 15-year-old, they're like, oh yes, I've invested in Bitcoin, and it almost feels like, oh, have I missed out? Have I missed the train? But that's not what it is. Taking an informed decision becomes so critical. So a lot of people now are exiting crypto market, but should they really be doing that, or is it a good time to enter market? So that's very important to understand. Informed decisions are so important, be it in any matter of time, like be it like traditional or crypto. Making an informed decision, knowing why and what am I doing, is so important. And that's what we're really trying to solve for. We're not saying, oh, invest only in crypto. Crypto is the way to go. It's more of facilitating that, hey, this is how it works. These are the different cryptocurrency projects, and that's how you can invest in these if that interests you, while you fully understand the mechanism. And that's what we're trying to do, that there is nothing to lose. It's okay if you miss out on one project. There are literally 1,000 more. So it's more of understanding the market and projects before getting in and putting your money, be it your hard-earned money or your parents' money, it just needs to be an informed decision, and that's exactly what we're trying to facilitate. There is no FOMO or there is no race to win here. You need to just do what you really think is right at that point of time.
But that's hard, isn't it? Because as human beings, we always feel like we're getting left behind, or we're going to miss out, and we start FOMOing and we make terrible decisions. And
that's
you
where
know,
the scams have really taken off, right? In crypto, like Squid Game came, and the very next week, the Squid Game NFT and project is right out there. And but the thing is, people are also taking advantage of this race or be the first one in any place or situation. So that's where we have to be extremely wary of as well when we look at new projects before any matter.
yeah.
And
So we
one of
sort
the
of,
other things, just one point I would like to add to what Aditi mentioned. One of the other thing, when if you want to learn something, you will have to burn your hands. That there is no other alternative. You can't learn through a theoretical knowledge. You can't learn from people who are telling you that this is how it works. You will have to get into it, and you can spend, say, if you want to invest $100, you can spend $1, or $5 in understanding how it works. And once you are through it, then you will be able to experiment more or probably invest more, right? So one of the professor taught me this, that if you want to learn something, you will have to be there on ground, understand it fully, experiment, and then you can start learning, right? So there is no other shortcut out there.
yeah, it's a process, and I think maybe a lot of people just expect they've done their schooling and they went to university and that's the end of it. But in the day and age that we live, I mean, it's lifelong learning, isn't it? We are going to be learning until the day we die. There are going to be new things coming, and we need to keep abreast to understand how we're going to function in a completely new society, different rules, just to be able to compete. And it's fascinating to me. It really is. That some of the things that I see, like in your project now, were just not possible even 2 years ago. It's fascinating. It's amazing that these opportunities exist, and people will come in and participate and create a livelihood in an industry that 5 years ago just was completely not even on the radar. And possibly in a year or two's time, there'll be something new, and people will build lives around it, and the people that are willing to put the time in to get educated. So it really is a fascinating time to be alive and to be working together. And I'm really excited to be working with you guys, because I think you've got a lot to contribute. You certainly bring a wealth of knowledge, and you can help people. You've got a measured approach, which is good. It's not a rush in and grab approach. It's learning, educating, and I think it's a vital part of what we need. So thanks to the effort.
Yeah, many a times we generally say that Albert Einsteins are not born with a mind of Albert Einstein, right? You'll have to build that mind, and then you can become Albert Einstein. So,
well, it's true. I think it takes patience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Mitch, likewise, like, we also reached out to you guys because your project is something that we really saw value in, and very similar values, but clearly what we're doing is not exactly the same, but the values still remain the same. And that's why we actually did want to reach out to you guys and get in touch and partner with you guys.
Yeah, I think it's important. You create partnerships and ecosystems with people that have the same values. You might come from different points of view. But I think if your heart's right and you're working towards a similar goal, we can create a ecosystem that works and that's safe for people. It's almost like we're building like the on-ramps to help people come into the space to learn and to take some benefit from it as we go. So as we start wrapping up, just some final thoughts from you. You can chat about your project if you like, or the industry, or some encouragement and some pointers for people that are listening to us that are trying to learn and to see how they can actually come into the space. You can decide how much you want to say and who wants to go first. Maybe ladies first, Suraj, and then we can wrap it up from there. Thanks.
I'll keep it really short. I've not been in the crypto market for the longest time, as long as Suraj has been. I've been there for maybe 3-4 years now. But it's incredibly important not to think that everybody around you knows everything, because they don't. All you need to do is ask questions and you will know how unaware everybody is around you. And it re-emphasizes the point that it's okay to learn, reach, do something as simple as a Google search. That's fine as well. But people are just getting into it in bandwagon, something that just pandemic made it happen, NFTs made happen. But it's incredibly important that you do learn about things, especially when you're putting your actual capital into it. And that's where Nest is a project that's very close to my heart, because one, you're not really taking advantage of Gen Zs, who is not probably very capital heavy already. We are facilitating how they can get into the market without putting any money into the ecosystem. And my goal would be just so as many people can come and benefit from it, and that's about it. And even if they don't, still do ask questions and be clear before you invest into any crypto project. Don't do it because your friends are doing it, and that's about it.
Very good advice. Don't expect that people around you know more than you do, because sometimes they don't. Just be willing to learn. So great advice.
In fact, Mesh, adding to what Aditi has mentioned, in fact, we are also creating the ecosystem for learners. People who are joining us as a CEO, they are, they can represent Nest and start creating that awareness in their own small communities. They can start giving that knowledge and spreading that knowledge so that other people can join the movement, and we make blockchain and Web3 really, really big. It has huge potentials. This is like an era where we are just starting. Lot of new projects will come into picture. Lot of innovations are happening. I think probably people must be hearing about Move to Earn project, where you buy NFT as a shoe, and then when you are running, you are completing a steps and you are getting the cryptos, right? It's a very good innovative model which is running out there. A lot of new projects are also coming. But one thing I would really want, and from the community and the users who are listening, is helping the other people to spread this knowledge and awareness, because like Aditi mentioned, no one knows everything, right? I don't know everything, even though I've spent a lot of time in blockchain and crypto space. Neither any one of us, right? So we are there to learn from each other, and peer-to-peer learning is the best learning out there right now. And I believe that people are having the FOMO for Web3 and NFT. I would probably advise them to take a step back and focus on the basics and the foundation, learn about it, and then enter into it. And they will probably enjoy that moment really in a very positive and affirmative way.
Yeah, absolutely. None of us are too late. It's actually right at the beginning. And just want to say, Suraj, Aditi, thanks so much. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Just want to wish you all the best with your project, and look forward to chatting in the future again to see where you are and the impact that you've made in the space. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks, it was great interacting with you. It was absolutely wonderful, and we really do hope to speak to you soon again.
Great. Thanks. Have a nice afternoon. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Have a great time. Bye.